I'm Carolee Garrison, singer-songwriter, self-care coach for burnt-out moms, and your host of the Seeking Sunshine podcast, where we find the positive in the trials of life.
There are times when life just brings you down, 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 down to the ground. And it's hard when you can't see the light, 'cause things don't look so bright. So now it's time to reframe and retrain your brain. It's time to look for the good. You know that you should. Why don't you join me? 'Cause I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. Oh, oh, oh. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine.
I'm so excited to share this new version of my single Seeking Sunshine with you in my upcoming album. I don't have a release date yet, but stay tuned, it's coming up. Do you have a story to share? I would love to interview you for my podcast. I want to hear all about you and what you've been through and how you've been able to seek sunshine in your journey. Please reach out to me. You can send me a message in DMs on social media, or you can even send me an email at caroleegarrison@gmail.com. I would love to talk to you. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today on the Seeking Sunshine podcast. Today I have an extra special episode for you, and actually this is a special thing that's going to go on all week. This week is the Dare to Self-Care from Burnout to Bliss 5-day free virtual workshop, and I've decided that I'm going to share every single day of this week the workshop. I'm going to share it here on the podcast so that you can have a chance to listen to it, even if you're not part of the group, even if you didn't want to be part of that, because there's a lot of really amazing stuff that I'm going to share this week. Specifically, I'm going to go through my SHINE method for self-care, which is really a method that could help anybody, not just burnt out moms, but I know that there's a lot of moms that listen, and so this is for you guys. This is my free gift for you, and I know that this information can really be helpful and just like completely life-changing if you let it be. So I'm really thrilled to share this with you. It was recorded Monday morning, and then I will share each one the night that it is recorded, so that everyone can get a chance to listen to this, and then you can go back to it and implement everything as needed. I hope that you really enjoy it. I hope you get a lot out of it. This is the culmination of a lot of work for me, and it really is just like my gift to you. This is everything I've learned and taken to heart, and it really has changed my life, so I hope that it will change yours as well. If you'd like to, you can still register for the workshop at caroleegarrison.com/self-care workshop. I will be doing this again in the future, because I love this. I love this information. I love sharing it with people, and it's, like I said, it's like so important to learn these things. So day one is all about seeing your self-worth. So I hope you'll take a listen and really take it to heart and learn these things and recognize how incredible you are. I'm so glad you're here. Anyone else who is on, can you please leave me a comment so I know you're here? Tell me where you're from. Tell me how your day is going. Tell me what you're excited to learn about today. I will tell you right now, we're going to start with the S in the SHINE method, which is my own unique method for self-care. And the S stands for self-worth, which in my opinion is just the basis of everything in life. Like, how can you learn and grow and improve your own self if you don't recognize that you're worth learning and improving? Does that make sense? If you're not worth changing and growing, how can you improve? So I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes. Definitely tell me if you're here. Again, if you're watching the replay, which I think there's tons of people coming to watch the replay, because, you know, our lives are busy. Our lives are crazy. And so we can't always make it at the same time. And I know that that's true for me. And I'm happy to go back and watch replays when I watch other people's workshops. So hopefully we have lots of people. So let's give it another couple minutes. And then I'm going to start, and we're going to talk about what is self-care? How do you do self-care? What does that actually mean in real life? And then, self-worth has been a hard one. It's really, really an interesting dynamic. We are taught, especially as women, and even more especially as mothers, that our role is to, be the nurturer, be the caregiver. And so then we give and give and give and give and give until we have nothing left. And I actually had this, good morning, Kimberly. I had this really amazing realization yesterday, and I'm coming to realize that like everything that I listen to and read, they all sort of combine together for my good, right? They all come together and just somehow they all seem to go together. So what I realized yesterday, for anyone who's not religious, I apologize. I'm very religious. And so I was at church yesterday and we were talking about counterfeits, and I realized that self-care, the notion that self-care is selfish and that we should just give, run faster than we can walk, right? That we should just not take any thought for ourselves and we should give more than we have the ability to. It's a counterfeit. Anyways, okay, we'll dive into that part later. So I'm gonna get this ball rolling. I'm gonna start with introducing myself. For anybody who doesn't know me, I am Carolee Garrison. My name's totally hard to pronounce, so it's Carolee if you're not sure. I have 3 special needs kids. They are 12, 11, and 8. They're all on the autism spectrum. 2 are, my oldest and youngest are high functioning, and then my 11-year-old in the middle is severely autistic and kind of semi-verbal, and he also has type 1 diabetes. And then on top of that, for the last about decade, my husband has been disabled, and I've been his caretaker as well. And that's been, honestly, caring for my husband's probably been the hardest part of this journey. Thankfully now he's doing much better. He's been able to go back to work, and he's loving it, and he's doing much better than he has in the last decade. And I can tell you that much of this last, everything I've been through, a lot of it was survival mode. But as I've sat and looked at my story, I've been like, how can I use everything I've been through in this crazy, crazy journey that I've been on? How can I use that to help people? And this is it. As I've been able to go through and figure out, how did I care for myself in ways that made it possible for me to continuously care for others. So let's see. The other things about me is that I am a singer-songwriter. That's been a passion of mine for my entire life. I released 5 singles last year, as well as a Christmas album. And in the next few months, I'll be releasing my big album. I know. And it's like, how do I do that? How am I able to pursue my passion and also be, a full-time caregiver? Well, see, the other thing that I do is I have a podcast called Seeking Sunshine, and that's been going for a little over a year. And on my podcast, I get to interview people, and we talk about all the hard things that they've been through in their lives and how they've been able to seek sunshine, whatever that might mean to them. And I'll tell you later what that means to me, because it's actually the 5th step in my SHINE method. And I absolutely love doing my podcast. Good morning, Mary. I'm so glad you're here. I love doing my podcast. I got to interview Mary. She's incredible. I love getting to talk to people, and I've realized how important it is for us to be able to tell our stories. It's so beneficial. It's so important. And then lastly, here I am a self-care coach for burnt out moms. I've got several certifications under my belt, and I'm excited to dive into this world because I really feel like this is the way that I can use everything that I've learned to help people to grow and to be happier in their lives. So if you have not had a chance yet, definitely go grab the workbook. You don't have to have it. It's not the end of the world if you don't have it. And honestly, I personally am not a workbook kind of person. I usually ignore it and just listen. So if that's you, it's fine. That's totally fine. But if you are the kind of person who wants to be able to sit and write and go along with it written down on paper, that will be really helpful for you. I totally recommend that you print it out. It was made to be printed, but if you can't print it out, like just type into it, and yeah, it'll be good. It'll work. So that link for that is in the group. It's also at the top of the live, like it's in the notes of the live. So it should be pretty simple to find. So today we're going to start off by talking about what is self-care, because it's such a, I don't know, I feel like it's a polluted term. Like we get this idea of like, oh, just go take a bubble bath and just go, get your nails done and then you're going to be all better, right? Then all of a sudden, like all of the stress you're feeling is just going to melt away. And for most of us, it doesn't work like that. For most of us, just taking a bath is not enough to handle all of the stressors that we have going on in our lives, especially as moms. Like there's just constant pressure from every direction. And so that's what this whole course is about. It's about learning how to actually care for ourselves in a way that makes a real difference to our stress levels. Like that's the whole point, right? We want to get rid of burnout. We want to go from burnout to bliss. So in the workbook, there's a space you can answer this question on your own, or you can just think about it. It's up to you. What does self-care mean to you? And just take a minute and think about that question or write out an answer. And if you're doing this at another time and listening to the replay, you are absolutely welcome to just like keep going and then fill it out later, or whatever works for you. Like that's the whole point here, is to do things that help you. So I want you to think about, what does self-care actually mean to you right now? Because that's what we're going to discuss. It's like, how can we improve that knowledge of what self-care is? So I'll give you just a few more seconds to fill that out before we move on. The next question down, for anyone who's looking through the workbook, if I could say that word right, is what does self-care look like in my life right now? Like actual physical, like things that you do to care for yourself right now. What are you doing now? Because first of all, you totally deserve credit. Like there are absolutely things you are doing right now to care for yourself that are essential. Like, did you eat breakfast this morning? Did you drink a cup of coffee this morning? Did you, did you get ready this morning? Did you, whatever it was that you did for you that wasn't for somebody else, that counts. Like, you're already doing something. Now we're just going to expand on it and make it more impactful. So then I have this amazing quote. I actually shared it in the group, a couple weeks ago, and it really just sticks to the point. Like, I just adore this quote, and it says, "True self-care is not salt baths and chocolate cake. It's making the choice to build a life you don't need to escape from." That's what we want to do. We want to build a life that includes our kids, a life that includes probably our spouses. For some people, maybe not, but at least includes our kids. Like, there's a lot of stressors in our lives that we can't and we don't want to just get rid of, right? We need to keep those relationships intact, and yet they're stressing us out. So how do we build a life with them that we don't feel like that we need to escape from? And one thing that's like so important to consider is, like, a lot of times when we talk about self-care, it's how do I rely on somebody else to escape from my kids and from my life? A bubble bath, that's something you're doing by yourself, right? And you're, either your kids are in bed or you're relying on somebody else to watch them so that you can have that bubble bath, right? If you're going out on a date with your husband as self-care, if you're going out to get a massage, if you're getting your nails done, like all of these things, by Kimberly, sorry. If you're doing these things and you have to have somebody else to come in and take your place, that doesn't work for a lot of people. Like, yeah, it's helpful when it's possible, but we need to be able to do self-care without relying on other people, without having to escape our lives. We need to be able to do self-care in the middle of motherhood. I'm glad you're here, Mary. Sorry, I was saying goodbye to Kimberly. She said she had to go. Sorry. Okay, so the one that, and excuse me for looking at my notes over here, I have so much that I want to pack into this, that I want to make sure that I get everything in. So another really important point is self-care is not about the specific actions. There is no prescribed list of things that you can do for self-care that are going to just work for everyone. Like I said, we've got the bubble baths and the massage and getting your nails done and like all these things, and like they're nice, sure. But self-care is so much more about how those actions make you feel. Do they make you feel better? Hello, Alicia. So excited to have you. It's so much more about how the actions make you feel than the actions themselves. So if, a bubble bath or whatever, like really fills your soul and like really energizes you and really just like releases all that stress, then that's amazing, and go take a bubble bath, right? But if that's not what works for you, then you need to find what does make you feel less stressed out. What does work? All right. Okay. One of the things that I wanted to add in here is that self-care, in my opinion, is really about knowing your infinite worth and then treating yourself like the divine being that you are. Think about that for a second. Knowing your self-worth. Self-care is knowing your self-worth. Knowing how incredible you are. And then treating yourself that way. That's why the first step in my SHINE method is seeing your own self-worth, because self-worth is the basis for everything. We cannot improve, we cannot grow, we cannot learn, we cannot help ourselves if we don't think we are worth it. So that's where we're going to start today. We're going to start talking about self-worth. But I have a few other things on our workbook. If you missed it, go grab the workbook. It's part of the notes for the live. It's also in the link somewhere else that I posted last night. So the next question I wanted to ask you is, why should we do self-care? Does anyone want to answer that in the chat? Why do you do self-care? I can tell you, I say this quote all the time. I say this quote. The workbook is there's a link for it in the notes for the live, and it's a Google Doc, so you need to make a copy. You do it to keep you sane. Absolutely. Yeah, self-care is absolutely what we have to do to keep our sanity. And what's the benefit of keeping our sanity? Is it's better for everyone around us, right? My favorite quote comes from Frozen, and it's, people make bad choices when they're mad or scared or stressed. So when we are mad or scared or stressed, when we are not taking care of ourselves, we don't come off as our best self to the people around us, right? Have you ever noticed when you're interacting with your kids and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten for a few hours and my blood sugar's really low, and so I'm kind of shaky and like really extra, agitated because of all of their screaming and yelling. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I'm reacting to their behavior because of how I feel, because I didn't take care of myself. And thus my reaction to them was bigger than it would have been if I had eaten, right? Or if you didn't let yourself pee for hours because you were in the middle of their soccer game, you were in the middle of whatever, and you didn't take care of your own self. It makes such a difference to the people around us. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate you putting that in the chat. It makes such a huge difference in how we show up to the people around us when we have been taking care of ourselves. All right, so I found this really incredible quote from Brené Brown. I totally highly recommend reading Brené Brown's books. They are absolutely incredibly life-changing. The first one that I read was something about the joy of imperfections or something like that. It's really great. I'm in the middle of like my third book of hers. They're so good. So she says, if we want our children to love and accept who they are, our job is to love and accept who we are. And goodness gracious, if that is not just the best reason to take care of ourselves, right? It's because we teach how we feel about ourselves to our kids. Our kids pick that up like subconsciously. They can see, they can perceive that voice in our head that's telling ourselves all the negative things. They can perceive that even when we don't say it out loud. And that is so scary. So scary. All right. So the next topic I wanted to touch on is this notion that self-care is selfish. I feel like we are taught that our whole lives. We're taught that self-care is selfish and we should just be giving and giving and giving. And the reason that self-care is not selfish is because we can't give until we care for ourselves. We can only give as much as we have to give. And I know that the metaphors, they're really cliche. They get really old really fast and they come around over and over and over and over again, right? Fill your cup first. Put your own oxygen mask on first. But I'm going to give you a different analogy, all right, which I found refreshing just because it's not the same old one. We drive our cars around so that we can take our kids to school and take them to their activities and we can do all the things, right? We don't expect our car to just push through it when it doesn't have any gas. We just take it to the gas station, we just take it to the gas station and we fill it up and we give it the gas that it needs to keep going, right? We don't expect it to just, push through it. Come on, I know you don't have any gas, but just push through it. Like, you can make it. And yet we do that to ourselves all the time. Way too often. We have no gas left, and instead of filling our own tanks, we just convince ourselves to push through anyway. And that's not fair to our bodies. Our bodies are these incredible things that have gotten us through so much, and it's just not fair to them to not fuel them in the way they need, and our minds as well, which is part of our bodies. All right. So along the lines of this, I found this amazing quote that I adore. It's from Sharon Salzberg in her book, and it says, this kind of a compulsive concern with I, me, and mine, it's not the same as loving ourselves. Loving ourselves points us to capacities of resilience, compassion, and understanding within that are simply part of being alive. So I'm going to break that down for a second. What that is saying is that when we actually do self-care, when we actually know our own worth, we are more resilient. We are more compassionate to other people. And we have more understanding. And then the opposite is also true. When we, it's just this idea of I, me, mine all the time. When people are selfish, when people are actually selfish, is it really coming from a place of self-worth? I don't think so. I think that when people are really selfish, it's coming from a place of feeling like they're not good enough. Type something in the chat. Tell me yes if you feel like that's true. When people are, of course the first thought of greediness is Scrooge McDuck, right? Maybe. Or Scrooge. Okay, my kids watch DuckTales all the time. So Scrooge from the Christmas Story, right? There's lots of versions of Scrooge, and it always is associated with greediness and I want all this money. And it's is Scrooge really doing that out of a love of himself? Or is he doing that out of he doesn't feel good enough and he's trying to get his sense of self-worth from the money? Because to me, what I'm seeing is somebody who doesn't believe in himself. And as you look back on that Christmas Carol story and you look at how that whole thing panned out, and okay, forgive me here, but my favorite version is the Muppets. The Muppets Christmas Carol is the best. So my ideas here are stemming from that because I love the Muppets. They're amazing. In the Muppets version, and probably others as well, but I just know the Muppet version the best. You see Scrooge as a young man, and he's talking to his love, and he's going, we can't get married yet because I don't have this and this and this in place. I don't have enough money in my job. It's not secure enough. It's not this, this, and this. And she's going, we should get married. I love you. We should just get married now. And he's sitting here telling her, I'm not good enough to marry yet. I'm not worthy of being married yet because I don't have the money. I don't have the job. I don't have the security. So his entire cycle of selfishness is actually stemming from feeling like he's not good enough. True selfishness is not self-worth. It's the opposite. And that's a really powerful thing to recognize, in my opinion. Yeah. So you have to. Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm gonna back up for 1 second. I learned this thing yesterday that kind of blew my mind, and I'm loving how different things that I'm learning each day that I happen to come in contact with, they all seem to go together, right? And the thing I learned yesterday, and forgive me, I'm very religious, and if you're not very religious, that's okay. You can just take this however you want to. I was sitting at church and we were talking about how Satan is a counterfeit, and I had this just mind-blowing realization that this idea that self-care is selfish is a counterfeit. This idea that we should run faster than we can walk. And forgive me, I already kind of said this a little bit at the very, very beginning, but if you missed it, I'm going to say it again. It's a counterfeit that self-care is selfish. Like what? Okay, so that one blew my mind. You have to care for yourself so that you can care for the people around you. So back to the workbook. After we've talked about all these things, about what really lights you up, what really brings you energy, what do you think self-care could look like in your life? And these are just sort of, spitballing some ideas here. How could self-care actually work? Is there anything you can think of that like maybe would actually help you? The first one that comes to my mind is, setting healthy boundaries is essential. And that's on our day 2 tomorrow, is we're going to talk about setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is all about respecting yourself. It's all about self-worth, right? That's why we're talking about self-worth on day 1, is because it underpins every other aspect of self-care, right? All right. I love this one. I take care of myself because when I do, I show up better for those around me. Who do I want to show up better for? This is the part in the workbook where you get to write down the names of the people that you love, who would benefit from you taking care of yourself. Renee, we're going to go through those tomorrow, the boundaries thing. We're going to talk about that a lot tomorrow. So who is it? Write some people on your list. For me, it's my husband, especially because I know that if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm a lot more snappy. I'm a lot more quick to judgment. I'm a lot less compassionate. When he's struggling, I hardly notice it because I'm so wrapped up in what I'm dealing with. So I think my husband's number 1 on my list for me. And then of course my kids, because they also get that from me, right? Who is it specifically that you want to show up better for? All right, and then, in what ways is self-care not selfish? And we just talked about this a lot, and so hopefully there's some really good notes. This would be a good place for you to put some notes down. How is self-care not selfish? Great chance for you to write down all the things that we just learned. All right, so while you are writing these last few things down, I'm going to just do a little bit of housekeeping and talk about what this week's going to look like. So we are going to go through each of the parts of the Shine self-care method that is my personal method for shining, right? For doing self-care in a way that actually, works and takes me out of burnout. And so step 1 is today, and that is see your self-worth. Tomorrow on Tuesday, we are going to talk about the H, which is honor your humanity, which is your body and your routines and your boundaries. On Wednesday, we're going to talk about I, which is increase your inner wholeness. Love this one. I love this one. I'm so excited to talk about it. Thursday is N, which is nourish your soul. And Friday is E, which is endure in sunshine, which comes back to the seeking sunshine and all the things I've learned like from my podcast and how much gratitude can just like change your entire life. So I want to take a second and do sort of a sorry, before I move on, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So those are the things we're going to talk, those are the topics we're going to get through this week for each day. Each day is going to have a workbook. I'll make sure it's posted. Yeah, I love that. Everyone around me wants to be treated the way I treat them when I'm at peace. Yes. Yes. Well, and what's so great about my quote that I shared earlier from Frozen, that people make bad choices when they're mad or scared or stressed, is we can apply that to ourselves. And like, how are we treating other people? Are we treating them a different way because we're stressed out? But we can also look at how other people are treating us, and we can go, oh, are they just acting like that because they're stressed out and haven't been taking care of themselves? And that makes it a lot easier to have compassion on them, right? Anyways, okay, so there's the workbook for each day that I will post before. There's going to be a simple piece of homework every day, and this homework is meant to take everything that we've learned that day and really put it into something that's going to help you internalize what we've learned, right? And then there's going to be 3 giveaways, all right? I'm going to give away 3 one-on-one coaching sessions, which, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for. 3 one-on-one 45-minute coaching sessions with me, which is an amazing thing. We get to deep dive into what is specifically going on with you in your circumstances. So I'm going to give away 3 of them. The first one's going to be if you invite 10 or more people before the workshop's over, you get to be entered into that giveaway. If you are here every day to watch the video, you don't have to be live to get entered into this. You just have to put something in the chat so that I know that you watched it, all right? And then the other one is if you do the homework every day, you'll be entered into the 3rd drawing. So those are the 3 giveaways. I'm super jazzed for those. They are going to be so impactful and life-changing and really amazing. All right, so I'm getting ready to dive in. Today's kind of an interesting day because we are kind of doing half of like introducing this topic and what self-care means, but then we're also doing the other half of self-worth, which is so important. So today I'm just kind of shoving so much in, jam-packing this hour as much as possible. So the next thing that we're going to do is a little teeny mini meditation. Now, if you're not somebody who likes meditations, you're going to be okay. I promise. To me, meditation is really like prayer. It's really, and it almost, and depending on how you do your meditation, sometimes it's closer to prayer, and sometimes it's closer to listening for the answers to your prayers. So we're going to start with this. So we're just going to do it with silence. So hopefully you have maybe a tiny degree of silence around you. And if you've got screaming kids around you, that's okay too. All right. You're welcome to come back and do this later. You're welcome to just try to find that little bit of peace in your heart, like while we're doing this, even if you have craziness going on around you. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to take some really deep breaths. We don't breathe deeply enough in our lives. We tend to breathe really shallowly. So take a minute and really, really fill your lungs. And just feel how calming it is to really breathe deeply. thinking about a time in your life when you felt really, really at peace. When your heart felt really open instead of closed. I feel like it's easy to remember what it's like to feel that feeling of it being closed and clenched and tight. But let's see if we can open it up. Open your heart. You are safe. You are incredible. And everything in your life is working out for your good. Today we're talking about self-care and self-worth and how essential it is that you know your own value, because you are an incredible human being and you deserve to be here and you deserve to feel joy right now and any time that you want to. See if you can open your heart just 20% more. I want you to think about how learning how to care for you, the individual, unique person that is listening to this right now, how could learning how to care for her needs change your life? How could that make a difference in the way that you show up for other people and in the freedom that you're able to feel? How would that feel if you had all the tools that you needed to care for yourself and you knew how to use them? How would it feel for that stress to melt from your shoulders and the chaos in your brain to fade away? Because you know who you are and you know how to care for you. And then for just a moment, I want you to think about, what is it costing you to not do this? What is it taking from you and your peace and your joy and your happiness and your loved ones? What is it taking from you and everyone around you for you to continue to be stressed out and burnt out and overwhelmed all the time? It doesn't have to stay that way. You have the power to change. You have the power inside you right now to be happy, even in the middle of chaos. Take a few more deep breaths and feel how that air nourishes your body. And then you can slowly start opening your eyes. All right, so as we dive into the see your self-worth part of this thing today, to me, this is the most important thing. It's the basis of everything that we do in our lives. They say, the love of money is the root of all evil. I think that the root of all evil is actually low self-worth. And then low self-worth in turn causes the love of money. So I'm not saying that the scriptures are wrong. I'm saying they're right. But low self-worth it's the real pandemic of our age. It's the real disease that we are all fighting in some way or another. And so hopefully, as we go through this today, you'll be able to have some tools that will help you increase your self-worth. Because that is, if I could give you anything, it would be to convince you how freaking incredible you are. But unfortunately, I don't have that power. I can't do that for you. Only you can do that for you. So, one of the things I was asking myself is I said, okay, I know that self-worth is the most important topic, but how do we increase our self-worth? How do we do that? And then I heard this thing that just brought it to light, that just was like, oh my gosh, this is the answer. And it comes with a little analogy. And this analogy goes like this. A friend of yours asks you to watch their houseplant while they go out of town. And you spend every day, multiple times a day even, watering that plant. And you walk by and you see how beautiful the green leaves are, and you see how beautiful the flowers are every single day. And then your friend comes back from their vacation and you actually feel kind of sad that you're giving this plant back. What made you love that plant? It's because you cared for it. It's because you took time and energy and effort to care for it and notice it. And I can tell you that I have not babysat a plant. I suck with plants. I kill plants. Don't ask me to watch your plants. But I have dog sat for a couple weeks, and that was an experience because it was like a 9-week-old husky, and oh my word, don't do that. That was a bad idea. But like, as you care for and sacrifice for and love and notice the beauty in somebody else, in a plant even, in a dog even, in your kids, that's how you grow to love them. So how do you grow to love yourself? Water yourself. Weed your garden. Take those little negative thoughts and shoo them away, right? Notice your beautiful green leaves and your beautiful flowers and your stunning eyes and your uplifting smile. Notice those things about you. Care for you. That's how you grow your self-worth. I love that so much. And in the workbook we have a blank, and it's you love what you care for. You grow to love what you care for. So no wonder our self-worth is, in the pits as a culture. It's because we're not caring for ourselves. It's because we've been taught that we should care for everyone else and not ourselves. No wonder we don't have that self-worth. We're not doing the things we need to do to have it. So, question in the workbook is, in what areas of your life do you feel like you're not good enough? Good enough seems to be like the thing, right? Good enough is like the phrase. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel, like I can do these things. And so that's the number one step. I have self-worth broken down into 3, and the first one is you're good enough. So in what ways are you feeling like you're not good enough, so that we can work on those specific things, right? If you're not feeling good enough as a mom, I have 2 different things to tell you. And what's funny is that they seem oppositional, but they're really not. So if you feel like you're not good enough, specifically as a mom, number 1, you're probably doing a whole lot better than you think you are. You are amazing just as you are. Number 2, we are these amazing human beings who have the capacity to learn and grow. So if you think that you're not doing good enough, it turns out that you can go read a parenting book and do a better job. Like, we have both the capacity to be incredible as we are now and also progress and grow. It's sort of a oppositional dynamic that really we need both. We need to know that we are good enough now and that we can also improve. Like, that's essential to be able to keep both of those parts, right? So I want to talk about your infinite worth. Like, you are here for a reason. You're not a mistake. Do you know what the odds are that you, as an individual person, as you are with your specific DNA, do you know what the odds are of you being here? It's actually astronomical. It is astronomical odds that you were not one of the many sperm that didn't make it, that you were a pregnancy that made it all the way through, that you didn't die from a number of other things, right? Humanity is a little bit fragile sometimes. And for anyone who's struggled with pregnancy, like, you know how valuable every single child is, and the odds of getting there, and how just incredible. And so that's one of the ways that we can look at this at our own value. When we see newborn babies, we don't look at them and go, they haven't done anything yet. Like, what have they done to help the world? Are they a contributing member of society? Have they made any money yet? Have they done anything to help anyone else today? No! We just see their infinite value just as they are. In fact, babies take and take and take and take and take for so long, and little kids, right? They take so much energy, they take so much effort and so much nurturing and loving and caring for them before they are ever able to do anything to contribute to society, right? How can we not think of ourselves the same way? I don't care if you are homebound, in bed, and ill. You have value just because you are you. Excuse me. 1 second. You know, life, right? I have 3 kids at 3 different schools. So illnesses just kind of like, they're just part of life, right? When you have kids in school. So I'm not sick. I just have like a little bit of a cough. But anyway, so if you can see the value in your kids, you need to start thinking about how you can use that same lens to see your own value. Your worth is not based on what you can do or what you can produce. It's based on you. You are a human and you are valuable just because of that. Another favorite Brené Brown quote, she says, worthiness does not have prerequisites. There is nothing that you can do to make yourself more worthy. That's all there is to it. You're just amazing just the way you are. And then the fill in the blank there in the workbook is, you have the capacity to love others, which means that you have the capacity to love yourself. So start thinking about, you love your kids, right? We love our kids. We love our kids even when they do terrible things. Can we love ourselves even when we do terrible things? We obviously have the capacity. We just need to practice it a little bit more. All right, the second step in the self-worth thing is self-appreciation. So this is all about appreciating who you are as an individual, as a unique human being on this planet. Like, appreciating your eye color and your hair color and like all the amazing things that you can do. Are you doing that? We tend to focus on the negative things. We focus on all the things that we wish were different and that were wrong. But what if you started focusing on the positive things? What if you started looking at all the things that you do well and focusing on those instead of the things that you wish you didn't do so badly, right? Like maybe you're not a great cook, but you are so great at playing with your kids. Maybe you're not great at playing with your kids, but you cook them the best meals. Start focusing on the good things. If you are trying, that is such an amazing attribute for a human, to be somebody who tries. Are you trying? Do you try to be a good mom? Do you try to care for those around you? Do you try to get done the bajillion things that are on your to-do list? Trying is huge. Trying is monumental. Give yourself so much credit for that. So in our workbook, I have some blank spaces, and again, if you're not using the workbook, that's fine. Again, I'm totally not a workbook person. I never use them when I go on other people's lives. But I want you, and this is going to be really important for our homework later on, I want you to tell me 3 amazing things about yourself. Something about your body that you appreciate. Something about your mind that you appreciate. And something about your spirit that you appreciate. So take a minute and write those down or think about them. Body, mind, spirit. Something that is amazing about you. And it would be awesome if you would post 1 or 2 of those, or even all 3 of them in the chat. I'd love to see what they are, because I want to praise you for being amazing. But you have to be able to see the amazing first. What's amazing about you? There are things. Just like my thing is seeking sunshine, right? We look for the sunshine in every part of our lives. And for me, the sunshine is God, and looking for the hand of God in all of our lives. So I want you to seek the sunshine in you. I want you to look for the sunshine in your body and in your mind and in your spirit. Where's the sunshine in you? And if you're thinking that this is really impossible to come up with 3 things, I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Do you have arms that can lift those sweet little kids up when they hurt their knees or they're screaming and crying for whatever reason? Do you have arms that can snuggle your babies? Appreciate your arms. Do you have legs that can run after your kids when they book it to go do something they shouldn't be doing? That would be me. I appreciate my legs. My legs are sturdy and strong and have helped me care for my kids and keep them safe. My mind has helped me learn and grow. And I learn from my mistakes as a parent, and I grow from them, and so I can do better next time. And I appreciate that my spirit is willing to keep trying, even when things don't go the way I thought they would. All right, we're gonna keep going because we're getting short on time. One more question in our workbook is, I want you to look back on your life, and I want you to write down some of the things that you have overcome. Because I know that your life has not been easy, or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here trying to go from burnout to bliss. You wouldn't be burnt out if your life was just easy all the time. Which means that I know that you have been through some tough crap. So I want you to write down, what have you been through? In what ways have you triumphed? What have you overcome? I think you're more amazing than you think you are. And if you want to put those in the chat, that would be amazing. But that's up to you. It's a lot easier to love ourselves and to see our self-worth when we look back at everything we've accomplished instead of forward at all of our dreams that we haven't quite made it to yet. And one thing I want you to remember is that where you are right now is something that you once dreamed about. Don't put your younger self's dreams down. Appreciate them. There's something in your situation right now that you had only dreamed of. All right, so the last part of this section is a little challenge. I want you to practice turning your negative self-talk into something positive. So there's some fill in the blanks here. Step number 1 is to recognize when your self-talk is negative. Like, that's the first step of pretty much everything, right? Is to recognize it. So take an inventory of your thoughts. Pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. So that's the first one. Recognize when your self-talk is negative. Number 2, ask yourself if it's true. If you say, I'm not good enough, ask yourself if that's true. Is it true? Probably not. And then number 3, find evidence of the opposite. One thing I've learned a lot recently is that you can find evidence for both sides. If you want evidence that you're not good enough, you're going to be able to find it. But you can also find evidence that you are good enough. And no matter what it is you're looking at, like if you think you're not smart, I'm not smart, well, find some evidence that you are, because it's there. Sure, you can go find evidence that you're stupid, right? But you can also find evidence that you're very smart. You just have to decide, what evidence are you going to look for? What are you going to focus on? Focus on the positive, please. Please, please, please focus on the positive. All right, our last section here is about self-compassion, and I love this because it's all about Kristin Neff's book, Self-Compassion, which I'm like halfway through. I was hoping to finish reading it before I got to this, but yeah, I have 3 kids. That didn't quite happen. But it's an amazing book. I totally recommend it. It's Kristin Neff's book, Self-Compassion. So she says, compassion involves the recognition and clear seeing of suffering. Right? It also involves feelings of kindness for people who are suffering so that the desire to help, to ameliorate suffering emerges. Finally, compassion involves recognizing our shared human condition, flawed and fragile as it is. Self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness are the 3 steps that Kristin Neff has discovered of self-compassion. Those are self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. And if I had more time, we would deep dive into all 3 of those because they are so important. But I highly recommend you go read her book. It's totally life-changing. So I just want to ask you, like, are you offering yourself the same amount of compassion that you're offering for other people? When your kids make mistakes and you offer them compassion because you know what it's like to be human and to make mistakes and learn and grow from them, when you make a mistake, do you treat yourself that same way, or do you treat yourself really harshly and tell yourself, you screwed up? Oh, your worth is dependent on your children's actions. That leads to negative self-talk. We are actually going to get into that on day 3 with Inner Wholeness. It's all about boundaries, really. Your worth is not dependent on anybody else. Your worth is just your worth. Your worth is just, you're freaking incredible. Like, that's all there is to it. You just are worthy. You just are. And hopefully these tools will help you to remind yourself of that more often, right? Okay, so one of the amazing things she says is that self-kindness is a coping mechanism. Self-compassion is a coping mechanism. When you're in the middle of burnout, when you're in the middle of being super overwhelmed by your kids, the dishes are a mess, the house is a mess, your kids are all screaming at you, no one's happy, how do you talk to yourself? Do you say, I suck because nothing got done and I should be able to do this and this and this? Or do you go, you know what? I did my best today. Today I felt like crap. And I was not able to get everything done I wanted to. And I had some really good reasons for ignoring the dishes because they were just not priority today. Today the priority was making sure that kid didn't die. Hey, Emily. Make sure that when the chaos happens, which I have a method, right? I have a method for you. It's coming on, I think it's coming on day 3 of how to combat burnout, how to combat that overwhelm of, right, of everything's shouting at you at once to get done. I have a really specific plan to help you get through that. So that's coming up in a few days. So definitely stick around for that. But make sure, how do you talk to yourself when things are going crazy? Do you blame yourself for it being out of control? Or do you recognize, you know what? Today was a self-care day and I sat on the couch and watched TV. Yep, my dishes aren't done. I was more important. Yep, there are dirty clothes on my floor. There are dirty dishes on my floor. There are. And again, guys, I have 3 kids, right? I was literally doing this last night. My husband, or maybe it was the night before because yesterday was Sunday. My husband worked all day Saturday and we got home Saturday night and he's going, why is the house a mess? And I was like, dude, my shoulder hurts so bad. I've been in tears half the day, right? Like, I cleaned the kitchen first thing this morning and they just destroyed it. Like, I refuse to let his upset about the house, the state of our house, affect my self-worth. Because I was like, no, I know exactly why I did what I did and I stand by it. I'm going to choose self-compassion, even as I have to explain that to my husband because he doesn't totally understand, right? I'm choosing me. I'm choosing to trust me. That's one of the topics I don't have written down on this, is trusting yourself and standing by your actions. If you chose to not do the dishes because something else was more important, don't go back later and kick yourself for not doing the dishes. Own your actions. I chose to not do the dishes because they were not a priority right now. There were other fires to put out that were way more important. And oftentimes the dishes get put down on the bottom of that list. And guess what? They'll still be there. They might be a little stinkier when you get there, but they'll still be there, right? All right. So on your thing, I'm trying to not go too much over, so we'll try to end it soon. Couple little things left. In what ways is self-compassion a coping mechanism? Is there something that you learned in the last few minutes that you can write down there to remind yourself of how self-compassion helps you cope with chaos and burnout? All right, and then we're going to wrap up in just a minute, but I want to end with this quote here from Kristin Neff's book because I think it's freaking amazing. Her quote says, "Self-compassion is like magic because it has the power to transform suffering into joy." And just like with my dishes metaphor, if I look at those dirty dishes and I am very critical on myself and I'm like, dude, I should have done those dishes, then I'm not going to feel very good, am I? But if I look at those undone dishes and I say, you know what? I went and jumped on a trampoline with my kids. I took my kids to the pool. I sat and watched TV because I needed a mental break. I made a decision to choose something else. And that is empowering. And that's how it transforms suffering into joy. Because that critical thought is going to lead to heartache and suffering and feeling like crap, right? Feeling bad about yourself. But when you change that thought into, you know what? I made a different decision. I know the dishes have to get done. I'll get them done later, right? They're still going to be there. But in that moment, when I had to make a choice, I chose me. Or I chose them. Or I chose something else. And I stand by my choice. That'll bring you joy. That'll bring you self-worth as you practice choosing yourself and standing by your own actions. How often do you do something and then you're like, man, I should have been able to do 100,000 things, and instead I took a nap. Stand by the nap. Stand by yourself. Trust yourself and be good with it, right? Because that's what's going to bring you joy. So this is the end of day 1. I'm so happy you guys came today and that I got to share all this with you. I feel like it's absolutely empowering, and that self-worth is the basis of all of it. If you didn't get to the workbook, I would highly encourage you to go back through it. Even if you don't remember the fill in the blanks, there's only a couple of them. Answer those questions. Those questions are really powerful, and as you reflect on self-care in your life and how you can change it and what it's going to look like, those things that will help you. This workbook is for you. All right. And then I'm going to post the homework later. You're going to write a letter to yourself. This is such a powerful activity. I've done it myself. I've heard from tons of people about how incredibly powerful this activity is. I'm going to have all the instructions for it up in the Facebook group. And again, the prizes are going to be I'm going to choose somebody who's invited 10 or more people. I'm going to choose somebody who's watched every video, even if it's the replay. Definitely, put it in the replay. You're absolutely welcome to watch replays. I totally understand that we can't always be here at the exact time. And I have a crazy life, and so I had to put this live when I could do it, right? And this is like literally the only time I could do it, so I'm putting it now. Right? And then the other one is somebody who does all the homework. And I'm giving away 3 one-on-one 45-minute coaching sessions, which is we're going to deep dive into exactly what you are going through in your personal life. And we're going to help you build that self-worth or whatever it is you need to work on in the moment. So that's a huge thing. I would love it if you guys shared this, share the group. I want to help more people increase their self-worth. That is really the plague that is attacking our society right now. Like, let's learn how amazing we are. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. Go do your homework, and just don't forget how amazing you are. Don't forget it. Bye. I hope you enjoyed day 1 of the self-care workshop that I'm putting on. Please don't hesitate to join us tomorrow for day 2. We've got a lot of amazing days coming up. I'm going to post a new podcast episode every day with the workshop so that if you are not in the group, you can still come listen. If you'd like to, you are still welcome to join the group, but definitely you can come back here and get all the same content on the podcast. I want it to be as available as possible, so I'm leaving it here for you. I hope that you really got a lot out of it. I hope that you have an incredible day. And if you feel inspired to, I hope that you'll share this with somebody and spread the word, because self-worth really is just the most important thing I think that we can cultivate in each other. I'm going to see you again tomorrow, but for now, I'm going to leave you with a song.
I heard you want to quit again. You're feeling like a fool for thinking that this path was meant for somebody like you. You put yourself out there again. Your confidence is scarred. If this was really meant to be, why is it so damn hard? But wait, maybe it doesn't have to look the way they said it did. And wait, what if it's not too late to change your mind or change the world? Don't give up just yet. made you burn. You don't think that you're good enough, but tell me what you've learned. But wait, maybe it doesn't have to look the way they said it did. And wait, what if it's not too late to change your mind or change the world? Don't give up just yet. Wait. You may think your time has come and gone, but another day is coming with the dawn. Wait, maybe it doesn't have to look the way they said it did. And wait, what if it's not too late to change your mind